Good day, students! Welcome to your science class. I'm Teacher Lizelle, your science teacher. Have you ever asked, why do I look the way I do? Or have you looked intently to your family picture? What have you observed? Can you see some similarities with your parents? So this is our lesson for today. So stay tuned, class, as we're going to learn this topic. Our learning competency is we are going to predict the phenotypic expressions of traits following simple patterns of inheritance. So we're going to study, why do I have curly hair and my sister has straight hair? Or my brother has a cleft chin and mine is not. So we are going to study further these topics. So example, you are tall. What would be the probability of having tall children or short children? Let's start. Are you ready? Let's play Human Bingo. Do you know this game? So, I have here some traits, class. Check whether these traits is present among your family members. Okay? Who among them have curly hair, straight hair, blonde hair? Who among your family members can roll his tongue, cannot roll his tongue? What else? Tall or short? So, if your family members have these traits, then you just check it and send your answers through the link which I'm gonna give you. Okay? Why do you have those traits? Why do you think these traits vary from one person to another? How do this happen? What is responsible in passing these traits from parental generation to the next filial generation? Okay, so these questions will be answered as we go on. So I have here some genetics vocabulary, class. These words we're going to make use in studying genetic process. So let's start with trait. What is a trait? A trait is a specific characteristic that is unique. A trait affects the way we look. They are inherited. Examples are hair color, hair texture, height. What else? You have a cleft chin or do not have a cleft chin. Those are traits. So what kind of traits have you inherited from your parents? Is it a dominant or recessive? Dominant trait, my dear students, is a trait that is always expressed or shown. Examples are right-handed. Tall is the dominant trait. So this is what is seen, the way you look. Okay? It overpowers the recessive trait. Usually, this is represented by capital letter. Recessive trait. When we say recessive, it is a trait that is covered up or seems to disappear. Examples are blonde hair, blue eyes, left-handedness. Okay? Note that recessive trait is represented by small letters. So the recessive trait is always weaker. It is gene hidden by dominant trait. Next, we proceed to genotype. What is a genotype? It is the genetic makeup of an organism, the combination of alleles. So you consider the examples. Those are the alleles. Okay? And alleles are always in pair. They always come in pairs. There are two types of genotypes. Homozygous, having the same alleles, and heterozygous, having different alleles. As you could see in the example, they differ. One is capital letter and the other is small letter. So that is heterozygous. While homozygous is having the same alleles. How about the term phenotype? Phenotype means how the trait appears. This refers to the physical description, the appearance. Example, you have brown hair, blue eyes, tall, short. So the observable trait is termed as the phenotype. Now, how do we predict offspring? We predict offspring by making use of the Punnett Square. So here is an example of a Punnett Square. How do we make use of the Punnett Square? Here are the steps. Number 1, determine the genotypes of the parent organism. Number 2, write down your cross. Number 3, draw a Punnett Square. Number 4, split the letters of the genotypes for each parent and put them outside the Punnett Square. Number 5. Determine the possible genotypes of the offspring by filling the Punnett Square. And number 6. Summarize the results, the genotypes and phenotypes of offspring. So what is the use of the Punnett Square? In the Punnett Square, we are going to determine the genotype and the phenotype of the offspring. Okay guys, so if we're going to cross homozygous tall versus homozygous short, in the first filial generation, they appear to be all tall. So as you could see in the Punnett Square, the genotype is 100% heterozygous tall. So the phenotype is 100% tall plants. However, in the second filial generation, if you let the F1 generation self-fertilize, the next monohybrid cross would be heterozygostol crossed with heterozygostol. And so, basing on the Punnett Square, our genotype is, we have 1 homozygostol, 2 heterozygostol, 1 dwarf, and so the genotypic ratio will be 1:2:1. Whereas in our phenotype, how many will appear to be tall? So we have there 3 tall and 1 dwarf. And so we have the phenotypic ratio 3:1. So my dear friends, this is all about monohybrid cross, a cross involving a single trait. Now, did you understand? Let's try this. We're going to predict the phenotype of the offspring using the Punnett Square. So here's the problem. So curly hair is dominant over straight hair. Now we're going to make a test cross using Punnett Square between heterozygous curly and homozygous. And so you're going to answer the following questions. Which trait is dominant? Which trait is recessive? What is the genotype of the offspring? What is the genotypic ratio? What is the phenotype of the offspring? What is the phenotypic ratio? How many percent will appear to be curly? And how many percent will appear to be straight? Okay, let's check your answers. For number 1, which trait is dominant? The answer is curly. Number 2, which trait is recessive? The answer is straight. What is the genotype of the offspring? So the answer is heterozygous curly and homozygous straight. So what is the genotypic ratio? It would be 50% heterozygous curly and 50% homozygous straight. What is the phenotype of the offspring? The answer is curly and straight. So what is the phenotypic ratio? 50% curly and 50% straight, or 2:2. How many percent will appear to be curly? It's 50% or 1/2. How many percent will appear to be straight? It's 50% or 1/2. So there you have it. Do you now understand how to make use of the Punnett Square? Now, you can You can try to test cross whether what will be your offspring if you marry a curly hair and you're a straight hair. If you marry a tall guy and you're a short woman. So, guys, what an interesting topic, isn't it? So, your assignment is you're going to study about dihybrid cross. This ends our lesson for today. Remember, we are all gifted and that is our inheritance. See you on our next session. Bye!